I think people underestimated the challenge of driving in cities, and there's a huge self-driving car startup graveyard. The future would be, cities with no private cars. Suddenly, one big thing in the US people were thinking is that parking lots would not be required because you don't park your car. Some places, full self-driving looks very close to AGI. A lot of progress looks like an S curve and not like a straight line forever. Self-driving cars are very sophisticated when it comes to sensing, but it's not as good as human beings when it comes to negotiating. All automation has an impact on jobs. I don't think we should brush that under the carpet. Tasks which fit any of these, dull, dirty, and dangerous, are stuff that people just no longer want to do. Cases will get argued in courts, and that is how regulation will evolve. We will have to wait for other countries, not because Indian conditions are tough, not but because we as a society are not capable of doing these things. Right? Those societies will be able to adopt new technologies faster, and our society will need to just borrow. Factories are the worst administered things for us as a society. We make them pay the highest electricity bill. They are in the dirtiest part of the town. No municipality will go collect anything there. They have the worst regulation. The GST, etc., will hit the factory. The Factory Act book is the thickest in India.
Saurabh Chandra is the CEO at Ati Motors, which makes robots for factory floors. He's also studied public policy and has a podcast called Pulia Bazi, discussing lots of issues. That reminds me of someone else who has those kind of skills. Welcome to the OoruLabs podcast. I'm Sathya Sankaran. And in this episode, I spoke with Saurabh about a lot of issues around automation, the future of self-driving, the future of jobs, and what automation is going to do to our cities, and what are the regulations and the ethics that are surrounding all of these things. Let's listen to what he has to say. Saurabh, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, Satya, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So we've been hearing a lot about automation and things like that. People top of the mind recall would be self-driving cars, which has obviously been made famous by Elon and his team doing a bunch of things. There is also the industrial automation bit, which most people don't know because it's generally a B2B function and we don't know what's happening in those sites as well. So today, I think I just want to understand these things in the nature of urban areas and urban space and technology, which is enabling, because as you know, cities are a net consumer of all of these technologies and it is pioneered there first. How do you see this whole automation thing shaping up with AI, hardware automation, industrial automation, robotics? Where is all this landscape right now?
Right. So they're very, I think the technology forces are similar. Surprisingly, I think autonomous driving famously, became like a thing with the DARPA 2007 challenge, right? The 2005 challenge was go across a desert, which got done. And then the 2007 challenge was the urban challenge, where a bunch of universities competed and for the first time completed a challenge where they could do self-driving DARPA cordoned off a real city zone, and they did that. And then many of the people who participated in that challenge became founders, early employees, etc., of the self-driving cars startups. And there's a huge self-driving car startup graveyard, frankly, from 2011, 12 onwards. I think by the time those guys graduated, etc., till today. Okay, so a lot of companies in that Deadpool, only companies now with very large capital base, or large companies have, and even large companies have not survived. I mean, Uber had to shut down, sell out. Cruise got acquired by GM, and now their service is currently suspended. Apple has shut down its program famously, right? So Tesla is obviously on, and Waymo is doing very well. And then there are a bunch of people in the trucking space who are still trying stuff. Even in the trucking space, most of the companies have ended, I think. And I think people underestimated the challenge of driving in cities. So even now, like Waymo, which is doing very well, and they are, I think, the furthest ahead, way ahead of, say, a Tesla. And Tesla, I think the marketing is sometimes a little ahead of what they really do. But Elon is a champion who I think makes people notice, and I think people want to do these things, and he makes them glamorous, more real than they are. I mean, that has some value. I think he plays a role in pushing the whole field forward. But Waymo also, I mean, for all that we are saying, it runs in very specific parts of the city, of a city, right? So there is long ways to go, and since like 2017, especially people like Musk were saying, just another 6 months, it's all going to be robo taxis, etc., and all that, right? But hasn't really happened till now. I would say a lot of plans got created thinking all cars will be autonomous. People thought of things like the future would be, I mean, cities with no private cars. Suddenly, one big thing in the US people were thinking is that parking lots would not be required because you don't have to park your car, right? I mean, once you have used your car, it can be used for someone else. And you know how US cities are, huge areas of the US cities are just car parking. Okay. So those kind of things people started thinking about, but I really think those are those big ifs, like, oh, if AGI happens, what all will happen? It's a big if. I mean, obviously if you give that, and I think at some places full self-driving looks very close to AGI, right? I think human beings do a lot of things when driving a car, which are very difficult. I think we'll keep chipping at it. I think technology will keep getting better, but that full level 5 self-driving kind of a dream which is there is very close to AGI, and that's at least my perception. And I think people are obviously trying for AGI also, like, which is like artificial general intelligence, very human grade intelligence. And I think when that happens, you will see self-driving. But when that happens is one of those big ifs. Sometimes people project these slopes, right? If we have made so much progress, then we'll make. But many of the progress is like an S curve, right? And you can make a mistake when you're in the middle of the S curve to think that it'll never taper off, but it does. And then a new S curve will start. It's not like progress will stop, but it may be in some other way. It may be in some other places, and we don't know. I mean, is this? Are we in the middle of the S curve, towards the end of the S curve? Who knows? While you are in it, you don't know. But it's good to remind ourselves that a lot of progress looks like an S curve and not like a straight line forever.
The interesting thing is we don't know how many more waves of innovation. There seems to be a lot of interdependencies between the AGI piece on the code side and the actual delivery of that
Yeah.
on the road. But let's try and then say, what does it take to get that to India? What are the complexities that those kind of things might face?
Right. So I think people mistake many times that, oh, India has bad roads, bad traffic sense. So I don't think that makes such a big difference, by the way. I mean, frankly, an autonomous car has more sensors in it. It can see more than a human being can do. So it will do reasonably well even in Indian cities. It may do better than human beings, to be honest, right? Where it'll fail is where it fails even in the US. A lot of driving is about negotiating with other human beings. That's something that humans are very good at. You can look the other person in the eye and figure out. And there is this slight negotiation, like, should I go? Will you go? Now, this social negotiation, as I call it, a social negotiation part of driving is low in US. It's not zero. And I think people took it as zero. It's not zero. It's low and it's high in India. Okay. So when you solve it, it will get solved for India too. But so people mistake why it is difficult. It's the social negotiation quotient which makes it harder in India. It is not the bad roads, other things. I mean, computers are going to be better at dealing with all those variables than human beings are. Right? It can see more. It can see people coming in the dark on the other side. All the things which cause accidents to be frank today, right? I mean, you will have a tractor going on Indian roads without a tail light, and somebody will go and ram in its rear, which is not going to happen for a self-driving car. I mean, it will have a lidar which will see the tractor, right? If something is coming the other way, it's not going to be a surprise. You will have velocity profiles of everything around you. Okay, so you will be able to have predictive trajectory of everything which is going around you in less time than a human being can blink an eye. Right. So self-driving cars are very sophisticated when it comes to sensing, but it's not as good as human beings when it comes to negotiating with another human being. right?
Sure.
Or understanding human behavior. People are working at that problem, by the way. I mean, people are thinking if they can apply things like game theory, etc., to do these kind of things, and basically like play the game of chicken, frankly, on the road in a way. But
Which we are used to.
yeah, we are used to doing that in India, right? So, and computers could play them as well. The only problem there comes of liability.
Yeah, that was the question I wanted to ask you. So there are two things in this, right? One is there is ripple on or trickle down effects onto other things like drones and robotics and other things as well, that these logics can be used in multiple. So if you can do it on the road, you can do it in the air, you can probably do it somewhere else as well. How do you see that panning out? We'll get to the ethics and the liabilities as well. So that's a bigger thing we can
Yeah,
try and think through.
okay.
But where do you see the evolution of this? Of course, when you talk about human negotiations, AG again, that if that improves, we are closer to a little bit of a general intelligence. So where do you see that trickle down things happening? What are the different things that are there?
Correct. So, as I said, now an autonomous car is like a robot, and this in one way there's not so much of a difference now between a robot and an autonomous car, and that's where I think these worlds intersect. There are these basic building blocks. If any of the listeners or viewers are coming from, say, the tech world, think about it. I mean, when internet came, when the web apps came, you had these building blocks. Needed to know databases. You needed to know HTML, CSS, browser-based programming. You needed to know some middleware, Python, React, Java, J2E, whatever, right? Or your Go, Erlang, whatever is your poison of choice, and you became good at these, and then you could assemble them in various ways and create various applications, right? I mean, you can make a ERP system, you can make a CRM system, you can make a dating app, whatever, right? But these are the building blocks which technically people became good at. Similarly, there are the building blocks of autonomy technology, which are you need to be good at control systems, perception, localization, planning, safety, right? Now, once you become good at these building blocks, you can apply them in various ways, which could be self-driving on the road, but need not be, right? You could do the same thing now for a mining vehicle. You could do the same thing for a vehicle, a delivery vehicle on the pavement. Tomorrow, it could be for a drone. It's the same concept, actually. There's not so much difference at the core of it. You could make a drone. You could make, like what I do, make robots which can run inside factories and move material. And many of these use cases are more tractable than the problem that we started discussing, which was public roads, right? So in public roads, the big challenge is, and I usually have this product manager hat on. That's what I did for the longest time, and I feel as a product manager, if you don't control the scope, you can't ship your product. Okay, so you need to control scope and your product to be able to ship, and that's why self-driving cars are not shipping, because the scope is open world and it's you can't control it. But as soon as you take interesting verticalized use cases, either they are B2B use cases or B2C use cases, but you can control them. Drones are interesting. I mean, because you can reasonably control what the drone is doing and the environment around it. So even on open world, drones can get controlled. I mean, they got shut down in many places because of security issues, but there are ways around this, right? So I think a lot of B2B use cases are such that you can control the scope, and that's where I think a lot of success is coming. Even in the US, a lot of these people tried these public autonomy companies, etc., and a lot of those guys are having a second inning as entrepreneurs, employees, etc., in now companies applying their skills in B2B use cases, which are more tractable.
So the B2B use cases seem to be a natural progression instead of jumping to the most complex problem first. How much of this is because we've been hearing of robots in Japan? We see as commoners robots jumping around. Recently, the memes are around hitting a robot, and people caution, don't hit it now, they'll come back and hit you later. Those kind of, that's how we've been exposed. It behaves like a human, it does human things. Is there a danger of losing jobs? Is that also like AI saying this is going to replace humans, or is there a niche for that?
No. I think most of I mean, and that's not just robots, right? All automation, and the word automation is basically to automate something which was done manually. So all automation has an impact on jobs. I don't think we should brush that under the carpet or say that it's not going to happen, right? But what you have to understand is how automation has played out in the past, and there's definitely short term pain for many people, and I don't think we should ignore that. uh, but where we are, at least because I talk to a lot of customers also around this and a lot of people generally, and my view was that it may, for example, in US or Europe there are, or Japan, there's simply no people. Okay. So you are taking jobs which there are just no one available to do anymore. Okay. So you're not really taking someone's job. The economy is growing. How does the economy grow? There are not no more people. The demographics in many of these countries is such that you can't find people to do these things. Okay. uh, I mean, US famously a few years ago had this fight for 15, right? They wanted $15 minimum wage, right? It disappeared. Guess why? Because the market reality pushed the wages upwards of $20. Okay, so that fight for 15, I mean, people like Bernie Sanders, etc., I mean, they just didn't know what hit them. Real market. Okay, they just some people like Amazon are paying like $18 minimum, right? So what was the fight for 15? And it grew very rapidly, especially after COVID or during COVID. Okay. So minimum wages have grown really fast. They just know people. First time in the US, especially, you can see restaurants with lot of seats which are cordoned off. And I ask people, right, why are they cordoned off, right? I mean, you have people waiting outside and your seat's empty. Said, we can only serve 25% of our restaurant because I don't have staff to serve the other side. So common. It's not one off. Okay. So there is like ready business. Restaurants are turning away ready business because, I mean, they have the infrastructure, they have the seats, they can't serve all of them. Okay, that's where we are in places like the US, and I would say I'm sure even in Europe, Japan. I mean, their demographics is even worse. US is still because immigration, etc., is very nice in US, and still the fertility rate is not so bad as many other countries. In India also, surprisingly, it's a global trend, by the way. Okay. Yeah. Even in India, it's not as bad as the US. You wouldn't find restaurants with seats cordoned off, etc. But factories, etc., have a real problem filling roles for people doing work which is full of drudgery. So we have these three Ds in automation. It's dull, dirty, and dangerous. Okay, so tasks which fit any of these are stuff that people just no longer want to do. Okay? Even in India, right? A guy no longer wants to take, say, in Bangalore, a job where he has to move boxes 8 hours a day. He can't take a break practically. I mean, he'll have like three breaks, by the way. I mean, it's not like the no break. I mean, it's not such a, whatever, atrocious job or something. I mean, they'll have a tea break, a lunch break, then another tea break, and an end of shift, right? But it's hard work, and it's
Yep.
mindless hard work, unfortunately. I think people don't mind hard work, but when they're engaged, human beings typically are very good at doing, say, 100 things a day, but once each, rather than one thing 100 times. Okay. And I think somehow we think that being a factory worker, etc., is very natural for human beings. But if you remember, having seen maybe Modern Times by Charlie Chaplin,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I think he shows, right,
He gets stuck in
how,
that.
yeah, how the machine basically dehumanizes the guy and kind of makes him part of the machine. And that's what a factory is. Each person and the machines are part of one unified machine overall. And we do it. I mean, that's the way we have been doing it for a few hundred years, but that's not natural to human beings. And I think now that there is some prosperity, there are alternate sources of income, there are government subsidies, whatever, right? People are making a choice that this is not what they would rather do if they had any choice. They would rather sit at home and earn a little less. Okay. Or they would earn the same thing and maybe do deliveries, right? Where they're I mean, they can turn off the clock when they want.
Hmm.
Okay, so I think people feeling master and control of their own time, doing stuff which they find little more fulfilling. Even if the work is not fulfilling, they can say, I can, at least I can switch it on and off. Factories have no such luxury. You are in
Hmm.
it, you have to be there every day on the clock, right? And you can't miss a beat, right? Factories are running on a march, and you have to keep the beat. So
True.
it's not the most attractive work for people, and we can see even in India it's not something most people want to do.
True.
Even with the huge unemployment that we have, and even the demographics in India is not. I mean, people just look at averages in India, but if
Hmm.
you look at data in say Tamil Nadu and Karnataka, I mean, I've not looked at it for some time, but I think the median age is upwards of 35,
Hmm.
close to that. Whereas the median age in Bihar is say around 23, right? Or around what? So the huge differences in India, and guess where most of the factories are? Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, right? I mean, these are the kind of places. So there is in these places, these are very Europe-like numbers. Okay,
Yeah.
fertility rates are closer to whatever one dot something, less than 1.5 probably. And yeah, you can get people from other parts of the country. I mean, India is a unified labor market, thankfully, so you can come from other places and work, but it's not something which everybody wants to do, everybody likes. There's huge seasonality. People want to go home for festivals, and they should, right? I mean, they're apart from their families for a very long time, etc. And that's not something factories can afford, right?
Sure.
That's one part of it. Yeah.
But I don't think it's even fair to put them through the drudgery as well. It's sometimes dehumanizing. We didn't have a choice, but now that we have, we can. And the last day is even better. You know, the dangerous situations we need to put them under extreme heat,
Yeah.
other kinds of scenarios. Maybe there are things that we could do now with these things which weren't possible with the humans as well. Have you seen use cases like that?
Yeah.
I mean, if you really want to go to Mars, you have to take a robot. You're
Of
not going
course,
to stand
of
there
course,
anyway.
of course. Even here we see that, right? I mean, there are places in factories where we have seen where workers rotate out every hour because it's so hot.
Correct.
Okay, and it's just like painfully. I mean, people actually should not be doing those things, right? And they are ideal for automation. In fact, for many of those tasks, there still is no automation available. Okay, so our robots don't do those tasks, but we have seen those kind of things. But there are other things like even pushing trolleys in say like a 50-degree. And these days, 45 to 50 degrees is not uncommon in many Indian cities, and to be doing really heavy work during that time is very unfair to the people, in my opinion. And we do that all the time. I mean, Indian factories are not like air conditioned or anything like
Correct.
that, most of them at least, right? So this is not great work for people to be doing, in my opinion, at all. So yeah, so there's enough. And the environment there, many factories have like soot particles, sulfur in the air all the time. Yeah, I mean, yeah, these are not all these places are fun to work in.
Yeah, increasingly we are going to be handling e-waste, dangerous materials,
Yeah.
and I don't see how if we have to recycle all of those things, we are going to have to do. And there are heavy lifting stuff now. Even a simple thing like a battery swapping now has become heavier and heavier because you need to be able to swap them, and we are having humans lift those things at some point. But there's a lot of use cases, but this also brings the ethics question and the liabilities kind of a thing, right? Especially in full self-driving, these questions have been asked many times, and I mean, people are in favor of saying bring guidelines now, but what guidelines do you bring when it is in it's a classic trolley problem, right? I mean, what choices do you make when you're there, and who takes liabilities for some of these things? What is your opinion on? I mean, we are not experts in actually studying it, but we know
Sure.
that something needs to be done. What is that something?
Right. So my view, frankly, is that this is a hard problem. I don't think there are any. So obviously, some regulation will get created to begin with, is how I see it, and I think incidents will happen. It's not going to be zero for sure, and case laws will happen. Cases will get argued in courts, and that is how regulation will evolve. And that's how it has happened in every possible endeavor that human beings do, right? The whole point of common law that evolved is like that, right? I mean, it's an organic thing. Lots of cases would happen in lots of courts, and their rulings will come. People will argue multiple times, and I think that's, we have to give it that time for it to be done. Obviously, we want to do it once we are sure that this technology is for sure safer than the status quo. The bar is definitely higher on autonomous vehicle than humans. Already, I think Waymo, etc., have data to show that they are definitely much safer than human beings. But are they going to be zero? I mean, we have had the famous Uber case, or there have been a few cases with Tesla, right? So it's not as if cases have not happened. And thankfully, I would say the legal system in places like US is pretty swift and competent to create these kind of case laws. Unfortunately, India is not. I mean, people don't see the really the bad side of having such a slow, excruciatingly slow justice system. You can't evolve any new area because a court case will take 10 years, right? I mean, then how do you create case law for that 10 years? What do you do, right? So you need swift, I mean, for common law kind of things to work, you need an environment where cases can be heard and educated quickly, right? I mean, you can't, and that's the so. Unfortunately, India will have to wait. I think we will have to wait for other countries, not because Indian conditions are tough, not but because we as a society are not capable of doing these things today. Okay.
I think most knee-jerk response would be the coercive power of saying, let's ban these
Of
things.
course, and you can understand it, right? I mean, nobody wants to fix the court system and figure out what's the just way to do it. So you will just clamp down on anything new, right? But societies which are vibrant and have the right infrastructure, and when I say infrastructure, like social, judicial, other kind of infrastructure, right? Those societies will be able to adopt new technologies faster, and our society will need to just borrow once they have adopted it.
Where do you see the future, though, in India? While the code infrastructure is there, some innovation is happening. Would that all be just for somebody else to consume outside and solve the problems? Because export market seems to be the biggest bet now, rather than trying to solve problems in India. We are going to lag behind. Do you think that's a possible scenario that something can happen in India? Do you see anything positive? What kind of structures could be made? Are there special courts you can set up? Can something be done on the policy to fast track these things? Or is there any incentive to even fast track with the excuse that we have so much labor? Why are we doing this? Not considering the dull, dirty, dangerous is still not worth it.
Right. No, so I don't think, and I think it will be very unfair to just, I mean, create a special me. I mean, when you fast track something, you slow track something else, right? So I think we as a society should improve our judicial infrastructure. I think it's a fast track courts are not a good answer at all, right? I mean, it's the same capacity. When you make one queue fast, the other queue does become slow, right? I mean,
Zero sum.
this is a zero sum game, unfortunately, at that level, right? So we should solve everything, and I think we have the capability. We just don't have the will. The money is also there. India is not poor anymore to say we can't afford the number of judges. I mean, there we claim, right? I mean, we have unemployment, right? I mean, why can't we hire more judges? I mean, these are basic societal needs. You need the right number of doctors, engineers to serve the public first, right? I mean, after that, you spend money on other things. I mean, you first take care, you have enough doctors, you have enough nursing staff, you have enough civil engineers, technicians, things you need to live. Then you spend money on other things, right? School teachers, blah, blah, whatever. So I also find this a very funny argument, right? I mean, we think that factory worker is the only job that we want to save. On the other side, factories are the worst administered things for us as a society. We make them pay the highest electricity bill. Okay, they are in the dirtiest part of the town. No municipality will go collect anything there, right? So, I mean, they have the worst regulation. The GST, etc., will hit the factory. The Factory Act book is the thickest in India. So we want to, over-regulate factories so that they can't hire people. But we also don't want. I mean, then we're worried about we have to protect the jobs. This is. I don't know, crazy thinking. And it's not going to serve us, by the way. I mean, see, the world is competitive. We can think like this, but the factories which automate abroad are going to then steal our jobs anyways.
Yeah.
Then is that going to make us better off as a country? Not really, right? So we can't afford to do that. Other thing is, at a certain scale, human being manual things just don't work. That's another thing. See, if you want, like, you could say, right, I could chisel something, but can you get like a micron level precision by chiseling something? You can't, right? You need a CNC machine to do it, and then you can get micron level precision. So you took away the job of somebody chiseling, but can you do the level of precision in scale? And that's what you need, right? If you're making mobile phones at huge volume or anything, right? Everything is being going to be consumed more, not less, etc. So you need machines will have to get involved, and either we do it or someone else will do it, and we would be nowhere anyways. Right? So
Yeah.
I don't think, we should understand these problems, but it's not a choice.
Yeah.
Okay, it's happening anyways for various reasons around the world. We better get ahead of it, and I think at least I think on the public road side, common law and all, we may be bad, but in the B2B use cases, that problem is not. We don't have to go through those problems, right? So I think there, Indian startups, technology, we can still make world-beating companies. So I think B2B use cases, and there is enough market globally and India. So India can't be a sole market for a world beating company. We're too poor a country to do it. But it's a good first market for many companies to start and then go global. So I do think Indian companies can create great products. They can go global. We are definitely trying that, and I think we are not the only ones. I think there are lots of companies. I think "Made in India for the World" is a mantra for quite a few companies which are attempting this. Everybody will not succeed, but yeah, I think enough.
Yeah, it's sad that we want to be rich, but the people who want to make us rich are being given a hard bargain and have to struggle through to actually pay the taxes which you then want to use to build better roads and things like that. That's always been a constant tussle. Ease of doing business is still not really in practice, it's more in words, but I think we are getting there. Maybe it will get better. The sad thing is that the Indian cities are not going to see a lot of the benefits of this for quite a long time because the use cases will be solved elsewhere and within industries, and the general citizens might just be having to make do with whatever they have,
I
the
mean,
leftovers.
I'll add something there, by the way. So you already see a lot of spillover of the autonomy for almost everybody, and I think it'll come to in India. You don't see it so much, but the full, I would say, driving assistance system that has come is all the same technology.
Yeah, the ADAS and all that.
Right,
Yeah.
the full, right. So you have now blind spot sensors checking what's coming behind you. You can do your cruise controls are very smart now compared to what they were earlier. This is all self-driving car technology, except it doesn't do the whole thing, and you have a human who's sitting and getting assistance. And I think that will make Indian roads way safer than they are. India has the highest road casualty record in the world, right? Right. And I'm sure all these technologies will come. So you will see, don't think that Indian citizens will not benefit from this technology. It will. And the ADAS technologies are not, they don't have to go through the same ethical dilemmas and the code. They're very well understood. It's just that I think, again, they are not available at the price point where Indian cars are able to offer many of these things. But increasing, you will see them. Right, it's just a matter of time when they become cheaper, etc. And also, I think opportunity for Indian startups to do things from an ADAS perspective on two wheelers, which no one else will innovate on. Okay, and
That's an issue.
right, so I'll give you a simple example. How many two-wheeler accidents happen because the pothole on a rainy day in front of them is way deeper than they thought it was. Okay, but you can easily put a depth sensor like a sonar sensor or something, or a radar, which will tell you the depth of the pothole in front of you, even if if there is water on it. You can never do it with your eyes as a human being. All right, but somebody has to take these challenges up and develop these things. OEMs have to be open enough to partner with startups to take these to the customers. So it requires an ecosystem. I think there are more interesting problems out there than there are entrepreneurs chasing them.
With the car and the vehicle is where most of these things are, but do you see anything on the commercial side which is being used?
Being used, not I mean, not in India as of now for sure, but as I said, ADAS is there. I mean, people now take it for granted because it has happened so slowly. The ADAS is so sophisticated outside of India. I think we have to bring it in at mass scale in India. And I'm telling you, the two-wheeler ADAS is, no one else will do it. We are the only country which relies on two-wheelers to do so much commute in the world, and we have different jobs, right, to do it.
And
So
Southeast Asia as well.
yeah, I don't think in the numbers that we do. The numbers in India are just mind-boggling. Okay, the number of two-wheelers that we have are, I mean, no other. I mean, also we are just so populous, right? So there's just no one else who's going to do it. So I think this is a ripe problem for Indian entrepreneurs to work on. I think other robotics. I mean, people do come to me with a lot of problems, interesting problems. Like there's huge apartment complexes. People want robots which could do in-apartment door delivery,
Oh, okay.
right? I mean, this huge. I mean, you have like so many delivery guys coming inside the apartment all the time, etc. I mean, why couldn't you like collect all of it and then robots could just deliver it inside? It's an interesting problem for somebody to work on. I mean, I think solvable also, but I think, as I said, right, there's just more number of problems out there than people working on them.
No, I've been on some groups where people were trying to turn off ADAS because it wasn't letting them change lanes and they just wanted to straddle lanes and it wasn't letting them.
Right, right.
It's interesting to know that ADAS is already halfway there to self-driving. It is it's a lot of assistance and all that. But looking forward to seeing more of this B2B side. Yes, you're working on it. Many others are. There's a lot of that happening, and I take away the fact that dull, dirty, and dangerous are definitely not for people, and it shouldn't be. It's not fair, and I think we should move that into some of the automation. The drone part of it seems to be interesting, right? I mean, do you see any of that happening? Somebody was telling me yesterday, why don't we have air taxis for Bengaluru? I said maybe it won't be the standard helicopter. It's probably a drone where you can sit and go.
Right.
There were a lot of that. There were a lot of these personal
Yeah.
things inside closed campuses. Are those still happening
I
here?
don't think they make a dent in our living standards, to be honest. I mean, like how many people will afford that flying taxi? To be honest, right? I mean, so yeah, I mean, a few rich people can go around faster and not crib about traffic. I mean, is that what we want for the city? I don't think it really changes the face of the city, except, I mean, it's an interesting problem, but in the context we're discussing it, does it improve the quality of life in a city for the large majority of the people? I don't think it does. Right? So
I would agree with you,
yeah.
but those are use cases for pilots and pushing the limits of technology. What you learn there might actually be used elsewhere and not necessarily the air taxi itself.
Fair.
It's
Of
probably
course.
brilliant.
Yeah,
But it's very interesting, yeah.
but drones, I think, agree, by the way, drones in India are doing very well. So
Oh,
spraying,
really?
yeah. So spraying using drones, I mean, that's something that you just can't. It takes us too much time, and also precision spraying, by the way, right? So you also waste a lot of pesticide, and also pesticide spraying is, in the way that it is done in India. They'll have like one gamcha which they will put on their nose as if it's like a N95 mask, and be spraying really lethal chemicals. I mean, it, I think, really fits the dull, dirty, dangerous kind of task in the agri field. A lot of it is happening using drones right now in India already.
Amazing, Saurabh. Thanks for being on the show and talking about all these things. It was very eye-opening for me. I hope the listeners will take away something on the ADAS. We are almost there, but there is still a long way to go. The ethics and the liability still need to be sorted out. And the biggest takeaway for me is that the legal system and the governance system has a longer way to go to enable a lot of these things. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you.